Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Andy Dio, and I'm your host. Today, we're going to spend some time talking about solid edge visualization. And Kevin Baxter is our presenter. He's one of our application engineers out of Nevada. Hi, Kevin. Go ahead and move on to the next slide.
Hello.
All right, so I just want to spend a couple minutes talking about what the Customer Enablement Series is all about. With all of the different tools that we all use today, there's so much information and so many things that we don't know about the tool that we have. So we put together this series really to help you, the user, learn about new things that you can do with your software, as well as building a community so that we can all share and exchange information. And every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 o'clock Pacific time, we will have a session, and it's about 30 minutes. Jump on. We'll have a variety of topics. Today we're talking about Solid Edge. Next time on January 5th, we'll be talking about NX. So it's really a community of Siemens software user that we're putting together to kind of help all of us just to be better at what we do. So also, from time to time, we'll invite software developers, experts, and if any of you out there have something cool that you want to share, let us know. We'll be more than happy to have you on as a guest speaker as well. Really, what we're trying to do is get everybody better at what we do. So if you have any questions at all during this webcast, there is a chat box on the corner. Go ahead and type in your questions, and we want this to be very interactive. So if there's a question that comes in, I'll interrupt Kevin during what he's doing and kind of ask the question out loud so that he can address it. So please feel free at any time you have any comments, question, go ahead and type it in, and we'll monitor it and make sure that your question is answered. So thanks again for being on today. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass the presentation over to Kevin.
Hello. My name is Kevin Baxter. I've been using the Siemens software for many years and just recently hired on with Saratech to help them on the technical side, and wanted to jump right into the Solidedge Visualization. And in this slide here, you'll see a couple of images of what you can do with visualization. You can do exploded rendered views and get quite intricate in how you present some of your assemblies and renderings before you even make prototypes on these. So hope the video came across decent. So you can also get into displaying the analysis. We aren't going to do this today, but just to give you an idea, you can render and display the analysis as a movie as well and share that with people in your organization. So we'll jump right into Solidedge right now and get going on this. So we'll just go in and looking at this razor, you've got these colors here that may have been chosen by the person that designed it, but that's not really what you're looking for when you go in and try and render this to show to a customer or other people in your department that might want to see how things are progressing. So we'll get into KeyShot. It's just a simple pick the tools, go into KeyShot, and it brings up the integrated environment for KeyShot. And the orientation that you select when you first go into KeyShot is kind of important because it sets this ground plane and kind of lays it on top of that. So if you had it vertical, it would end up being a vertical orientation, and you can rotate about the normal to the plane there. And KeyShot is a CPU-based progressive rendering engine, so as you move through things, it'll get better and better looking as you let it sit if you don't do anything to it. And it'll use as many CPU cores as there are available. If you want to limit the usage on the CPU, you can come up here and pick however many cores you want it to use so that you can let it render and do some other things on your machine at the same time. So you might want to back that down a few cores to allow other processes to run and let this run in the background while you're doing something else. The other thing that you probably want to do, at least initially until you go to render a final image or movie, is to change the resolution. So if you lock the resolution down a little bit smaller, you've got the different aspect ratios grouped together here, so you pick whichever resolution you want, and it won't have to render as much on the screen for a smaller image, and so it'll render a little more quickly as you're trying things out and get to the point that you want to render this as a final image. So right now, we can zoom in, we can go over here to, we've got a couple different areas you've got your library on the left side here, which has your materials, colors, different environments. You can place your backplane images. You've got textures to choose from, and then you can also set favorites. So if you come in here, and I've set a couple of favorites on the materials here for this. So you can just drag and drop these onto the image or onto your model surface, and so whatever surface you drop those on, it's going to change that material. And it'll, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you've got your project with the different tabs. And if you look at materials down at the bottom here, you can see all the different materials. There are multiple different parts inside this thing that have materials pre-assigned as well. And so you can either pick materials that have been used from the material tab here. You can pick your materials, textures, and so forth off of your libraries as well if you have a new one. So if we go back into the colors, I've also, on these materials, I went out to the Keyshot website and they've got some links to different people that have libraries that you can actually add into here. And these Axalta paint colors, I just grabbed a couple of those and simply did an import onto the file that I downloaded, and just did an import, and then it puts these into a subfolder here. And so if you grab those, and you can use those and have some pretty nice colors to start with. Now another way you can grab materials or colors from one surface is if you select that surface and right-click on it, you can copy the material here and go up here to this other surface that you'd want the same color that didn't pick that up. Right-click on that surface, and you can either paste a linked material or paste the material and it would be separate from the other surface. So if I do linked, because I want these to stay the same all the time, now if I drag any other color onto any one of those surfaces, they all change at the same time if they're linked. So that's pretty handy. And change it back to the blue that we want to use here. And in this case, we can change the backgrounds, or sorry, the environments are going to control your lighting environments, and you can pick multiple different environments that are predefined in here, and these HDR images will, if I drag a new one on here, it's going to change the way the reflections work in here. So if I rotate And one thing to know that's good is inside of KeyShot, the cameras are rotated around the model. The model is stationary. So if I zoom way out on this, you can kind of see what's happening here. We've got this image and our model sitting in the middle of this thing. And so based on the rotation of that environment, it'll change how the reflections and the coloring of the reflections. So you can see, I hope you can see this a little bit. You've got some of the windows showing through in the reflections on this paint, depending on, there you go, there's a good one with the white window showing up as a reflection, and you see that up in the right corner on the project under the environment. So if I change that environment back for this particular purpose, I'm going to go with the 3-panel, and you've got the same thing here. If you rotate this around, you'll get highlights in different places or dark spots depending on how it's oriented.
So Kevin, so for these background images, is there a location somewhere? Can we import our own images in there to use as a background, or is it pretty much set on what you can use here?
No, you can import those as well. So anytime you're on these library tabs, you have an import folder here, and so if you have the right, if you pick import here, it's looking for HDR, HDZ, EXR, and DDS extensions. So they're a little bit specialized. They're a picture that is a very high resolution picture, and it's got certain qualities to it. If you go search for HDRI on the web, you can find a dozen websites real quickly that you can buy these. Many of these are for sale. I don't know, I haven't looked enough to know if you can find some free ones or not. I've seen them anywhere from $5 an image to $70 an image on a few that I've looked at, depending what you're looking for.
Okay, great, thanks.
So currently I've got ground reflections on, and you can see the ground reflections happening here as I haven't touched it for a minute or so. It's getting more detail in here and less of the speculation or specular type dots throughout some of this. And if I change lighting, you've got different lighting presets up here, and some of those, it'll show you what it changes down here for the selections and the settings, different settings if you expand the settings menu here. So you can play with those depending what you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to turn off the ground reflections because I'm going to bring an image in here and set this on a stack of towels, make it look like it's sitting on a stack of towels in a bathroom. And so we also want to change perspective to give it a little more realistic look to it, maybe down to about a 40 millimeter perspective.
Hey Kevin, I got a question that came in from Jason, and he's asking, what determines the placement of the ground plane?
Well, currently we haven't, it has to do with the extents of the model. And that's actually the next thing that I'm going to do is put a ground plane in here, and you have some control over the ground plane. You can actually put texture on a ground plane, and this particular example we're not going to do that, but if you zoom out you kind of get a feel for, and you rotate this, you can get a feel for what the ground plane is doing. So you've got these three spherical lights that are up here. Depending how you rotate this thing, you can kind of see those, and you can see the ground plane kind of shadow one of those if you push it up too far. So that's kind of gives you an idea what your ground plane is doing. Now pull this back down into the middle here and zoom back in. And what I want to do is go over to the on the environment. Instead of using a lighting environment, I actually want to stick a backplate image in here for the background. I'm going to open that, and now this thing will be sitting. I'm going to have to take and drag this a little bit and scale it a little bit to get this set approximately where I want it looking, so the scale looks about right, depending how big your towels are and kind of where it sits on there. Now, if you want to modify the colors further, you can actually take the color. If you pick anywhere on, double-click anywhere on one of these surfaces, it'll bring up the material library, and you can change different aspects of the material if you want to. You can have linked colors, or you can break the link on the materials in this project. You can actually add different textures to the materials as well. If you wanted to put a texture on here, you can right-click on there, and when you pick, it'll bring up different textures. And they've got a camouflage texture that you can go and modify the different colors on the camouflage. You can change the colors, change the size of everything.
Hey, Kevin.
So you get very complicated very quickly on your settings. Yes, Andy?
Mark had a quick question. He was asking, how did you scale the part in real time like that? Was there a special click or something that you did?
The part itself?
Yeah.
I'm just using my middle mouse button here to scroll, and it changes the zoom level of the part itself, the 3D model.
Okay, awesome. So it's as easy as that. Thanks.
And then your left mouse button will rotate that. And so if I rotate that a little bit different angle, you can do that. And your perspective up here, you can, and this may not be as good an example on the, I'll just zoom this in so that we can see a little bit better. But the perspective for something that's, well, you can see how the perspective starts changing here.
Yeah, so for something much larger like a car or something like that, that would be really cool to use.
Yeah, it'll show up a lot, make it look a lot more realistic, putting a little perspective on there. On this that's got more rounded surfaces, it's not as, doesn't stand out quite as much.
Okay, no, but I think we get the concept.
Also on the parts, this is linked, integrated in Solidedge, and you can see that if you go in here, and we're going to replace this cutting head with a different part that has, we'll replace that part, select all of them, and replace this with a HD screen, and that HD screen is a different color, and it has a much finer pattern in it for the openings. And so if I go back up here to Tools, Update Keyshot, and for some reason it zooms out on me. I have to zoom back in to get it to the size that I want. But you can see that the heads here changed out. The material changed automatically based on the part, and it's all linked without having to go and re-import anything. It's automatically happening when you do that update. You can drag and drop.
That's a pretty
Go ahead, Andy.
So I'm just gonna say that's a pretty useful feature, so that you don't have to redo everything if you go back and change something on the model.
Yeah, that's some of the difference between a plug-in and integration. You can have things that are controlled that way that are real-time, as opposed to having to re-import things or go a roundabout way to get things updated from your model.
Yep. So it saves a lot of time.
If you're over here on the colors, and you can any of these things over in the library, if I like a particular color here, all these Pantone colors are available as well. I can right-click on that color if I like it, add to favorite, and so you can build a library of things that you're using. And there's my color that I got. If I double-click on the color over here, let me throw this Pantone color on here. Probably not a good choice with purple towels. If I hover over the color on the right side there in the diffuse property box, it goes and lists what the Pantone color is, as long as you haven't broken the link on that color to modify it independently. So there's a lot of information here to absorb on how to use this. You can also go into the scene. Let me go back to my other material here. If I'm in the scene, I've got let me pick my ground plane here. And I've got a tool here. When I pick Move Tool, it allows me to clip where that ground plane is, so it can look like it's kind of set into the, recessed into that towel just a little bit. Pick OK there and let it re-render. Are there any other questions out there? A real good resource, obviously, because it's KeyShot. You can go to the KeyShot website and or KeyShot YouTube channel and find many hours of specialty features, adding labels onto things, and spend hours and hours watching some videos to get a lot more detail about how to take advantage of some of the special features that are in here. We also have our YouTube channel, and we have many different videos on there about different programs. This image here is after you've rendered everything, multiple different images. You can put it together as a brochure for marketing. Here are some other images that have been rendered. Give you an idea of some of the capability. Depends how much time you want to spend it modifying all the different aspects of it and settings within KeyShot to get what you're looking for. And you also can export these images from Solidedge, and the models can be used on tablets or Android devices to be able to share things real time. That you can walk around and have with you to be able to show people or share in meetings without having to run Solidedge or bring your computer.
Yeah, these are definitely
I'll
some very cool things that we can do.
um, turn it over to Andy, see if there are any other questions.
Yeah, so the purpose of these sessions, we want to introduce you to new things and share with you all the tools and things available. Obviously, in 30 minutes, we can't go really, really deep into detail. So at any time you have questions, offline, go ahead and give us a call or shoot us an email. We are more than happy to get back to you and help you really use these tools more effectively. Also, don't forget to check out our blog. We have a blog on our website that has a lot of useful information. As Kevin mentioned before, there's also a YouTube channel which we upload videos of different, not just Solidedge, but other Siemens tool, different topics as well. So go ahead and log on to YouTube. Just do a quick search for Saratech, or if you want to jot down the URL right there, that's fine too. Go ahead and subscribe to it, and then anytime there's a new video that comes up, you get notified, and you can go check it out. And also, of course, our support portal. So if anytime you have questions, call, email, or log on to our support.saratechinc.com, and one of our application engineers will get back and help you out if you have any problems at all. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you got some useful information out of what Kevin showed you. And hopefully we'll see you again online on a session in the future. Thanks everyone, and have a great day. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.